Welcome back at Kutia Dev Stage. We have another discussion panel prepared for you with the theme quality of education and the effects of training. Here with me I have Mr. Veton Xhelili, who is a trainer at Cacttus Education. Also Visar Jasiqi, who is a Chief Development Officer at RIT Kosovo. And also virtually we also have Merita Ceku, who is the Regional Coordinator at Beetroot Academy. I'd like to start with our first question, which is, are universities creating employable people, and why do we need additional trainings? Actually, this is two questions in a question. If we can start with Mr. Xhelili.
Thank you. My personal opinion is that there has to be a distinction between universities, first of all, public universities and private universities, and within private universities, depending on the skills and the knowledge that the graduates have after they graduate these universities. Unfortunately, from our experience, because we are an ICT company that also employ these candidates or graduates from these universities, we saw that they don't have the necessary skills and knowledge to be included in the ICT field, and additional training is a must. Depending on from which universities they come and which field they have studied in these universities, sometimes the investment in training has to be somewhere around 6 months to even up to a year. So yes, unfortunately, in Kosovo, most of the universities do not offer the necessary skills and knowledge to the graduates in order to be fully integrated in the labor market, or they do not meet the demand that the labor market has.
Thank you so much. Mr. Jasiqi?
Well, I mean, it really depends how you look at the higher education sector. The role of the universities, sometimes it's misinterpreted, that it's there just to create the necessary labor force. The idea of the higher education in general is to create active and productive citizens. And that entails not necessarily just the traits of the profession, but also ability to be a lifelong learner. And then emphasis that are especially given to what we refer to as the soft skills, but which are really the hard skills to master. So the role of the university is that by the end of a certain program, the candidate should be able to continually learn as the world develops, and also be able to communicate, work with others, work in teams, present ideas, basically to have the cognitive abilities to actually make an impact and be productive. So of course that sometimes in the universities, just the way how the curriculum are built, they take a longer time. Just to illustrate, right? So you're a company and you come with a need and you say, I need people to be able to develop these apps, and we're going to use certain technology and DevOps and this and that, and we need them to have these skills. For the university, the process to actually come with that curriculum might take a year to up to 2 years. The accreditation process, that you need to go through, how you're going to measure results. And then to produce those students with those skills, it will take another 3 to 4 years on a bachelor program. So what happens is that, especially in the IT sector, the technology will evolve, the technology will change. So by the time they graduate, maybe that technology is not necessarily the best one, has been upgraded. So really the role of the universities is how do we create these workforce in the sector of IT who can look at a certain problem and embark in a process to find solution regardless of the technology that it will use. So sometimes when they graduate, the company might have specific needs which says we're going to use DevOps, so we need to additionally train them on that. And that's not bad. I don't know why sometimes in the labor market that is seen as bad, because in the learning process, whether it's a university or other organizations such as business, we're still a learning organization. So in that aspect, the universities are creating, in my view, the people who have those capacities, and additional trainings will always be necessary to meet other individual demands.
Yes, because you never stop learning, actually.
Yes, especially
Mrs. Merita?
Yeah, actually, I was about to say what you just mentioned. I think that the process of learning is a process that really never ends, never stops. So it doesn't matter if you are graduated as a bachelor or you do a master's degree or even a PhD, the process of learning continues throughout your life. I would like to mention an example of not a very recent study of World Bank report who has ranged Kosovo that has the lowest employment and the highest unemployment rate, which is about 50% among youth in Western Balkans. This shows us that Kosovo's youth need about 10 years to go from school to work, whereas in the neighboring Macedonia, Northern Macedonia, this period ranges from 4 to 5 years, while in the development countries, it is around 1.4 years. So to my understanding, this report really shows us that the educational system in Kosovo is weak, and youth needs to gain additional skills to adapt to be able to join the labor market, whether that labor market is in Kosovo or abroad. So, I mean, this is my opinion about it. The report showed very clearly that, how the educational system in Kosovo works, and that the youth and the people really need additional skills in certain fields. Either it is IT field, which is, the technology is advancing every day in the developed countries, so we have to keep up with those trending and be able to provide as providers, actually as schools or academies, to provide something new and up to date to the youth so that they will be able to get employed, whether in Kosovo or abroad.
Thank you so much. Do we need additional trainings from the ones that we have? Do you plan on adding additional trainings besides the ones that you have? Since you say that trainings are a very important thing besides universities.
I think so. If the question is directed to me, I would like just to give a brief introduction about Beetroot Academy, who we are and what we do. So Beetroot Academy is a Swedish-Ukrainian IT school that helps people take their career to the next level. We teach intensive IT courses here in Pristina, in Sweden and Ukraine. Beetroot Academy has been established in 2014, first in Sweden and Ukraine. And this year, after brainstorming and negotiations with the headquarters in Sweden and Ukraine, we decided to open also Beetroot Academy Kosovo. It is probably the most new school in town or in country. However, our aim is to provide youth with additional skills on IT field, seeing the need of developers throughout the country and also in Europe. That is why we have decided to provide a number of different trainings for programmers or developers and non-developers as well, based again on the market that we have researched for about 2 years. We have thought that the courses that we are offering are really kind of courses that would equip the youth that either are on their studies or they just finished the bachelor degrees to give the practical skills. So we are focused more on practical skills equipment for the youth that is needed for them to either prosper or get their advance on a next level, so that they will be able to much more easily find themselves in the market. the trainings that we are currently providing are front-end development, back-end and front-end, and project management in IT, English for IT, that are kind of, courses that really are needed. For instance, I know that youth usually ask for, either front-end or back-end courses, while project management in IT is kind of a new term for them, because in universities here in Kosovo, either private colleges or the public universities, the youth study about management in general. But project management in IT is a bit different. It is kind of management for sure, but it is pretty much linked to the IT companies and the IT projects. So whenever you work with front-end developers and back-end developers, there must be a project manager who is specialized in IT that would either monitor, execute, maintain the connections, or have let's say, the whole project in one place, what the front-enders worked or back-enders worked, so that they are able to compile a good project that would be presented to the clients.
Yes, they need to have a general knowledge of front end and also back end, so they'll know how to manage them, right?
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Mr. Xhelili, does Cacttus Education have any trainings, upcoming new trainings?
Yes, our institution, in fact, is the first vocational and educational training center accredited and licensed in Kosovo for 2-year studies in ICT. Our institution offers 2 concentrations. The first is network and system administration. The other concentration is web and mobile application developers. We've been operating as a vocational school since 2015, and until now we have successfully managed to graduate 4 generations of students with around 80 to 90 students per generation. And luckily there's a statistic that we are very proud of. Somewhere around 83% of our graduates are employed. More than 50% of them get employed during the first year of studies as junior either developers or administrators or network technicians. And after they graduate the 2-year studies, they get employed. There are some students that don't graduate and they still manage to get jobs. And then on the other hand, we have some students that graduate but they don't get employed because they want to pursue their career and continue their studies in higher levels, like the 6th level, which is the bachelor's degree, and then even higher for the 7th level in master's degree. Our experience was, first of all, with training courses, vendor-based official training courses. We started with Cisco training, and then we've added vendors like Microsoft, Oracle, Android, Linux, and so many others. All our trainings are accredited and licensed in the National Accreditation Authority, and all our students that finish the 2-year school program are accredited with 120 credits, which are transferable to higher academic institutions. Yes. Regarding the training and the universities that Visar and Merita mentioned, I'm gonna add something here from the company's perspective, because we are an IT school, but on the other hand, we are a company as well, because we have our own software development department and telecom department. Unfortunately, when we employ people that come from these universities without any prior training or certification, there is a period, as I said, of 6 months, sometimes even to a year, that the companies have to invest in training, which there is a cost to it, and certification as well, because nowadays certifications and titles are very important for these companies. The private companies, most of them don't have the funds to invest in such long time in training for their candidates or employees, and they want to have the employees to be ready, to be labor ready, to be employed right away. Most of these IT companies don't have 6 months to wait, because their entire project lasts for 6 months. So They want to have all the people ready with the necessary skills and everything. We agree as Cacttus Education and myself with Visar and what Merida said, there is a lack of skills in soft skills and communication and project management or project management in IT. They even lack these human and interpersonal skills, especially we've noticed that with developers. They seem to be very closed people, and they have their mind of their own. They create some sort of world of their own, and it's quite difficult to approach them and try to communicate with them. But there are trainings also for sales, communication, behavioral skills that they learn at our institution.
Teamwork.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Mr. Jasiqi?
Yeah, well, I mean, for RIT Kosovo now, we have several sort of branches in the educational offer. We recently accredited a Bachelor of Information and Computational Technologies. And we started that program initially internally. We just had 30 students who moved into the new bachelor program. And we will have an intake next September. Our approach in IT so far, we've mostly done work on the human capacity development through training and certification, vendor-based, custom built for needs of the companies. And then on a master level, we brought a unique master called Future Foresight and Innovation with micromasters in project management. So the whole idea of that is you want to teach these students to think about the future. What's the new industry coming in? What are the new technologies? But not necessarily overthink, to plan for that future. So that's why we emphasized the project management in the master's program. But the whole approach of our school is not just to create a labor force for the existing IT industry, but how do we create the new IT leaders of the industry, right? So people who will push the boundaries, of new technology. So from that perspective, when we talk about new training, right now as a university, we try to scan and see what are the developments. We get complaints from the private sector that says you're not creating the capacities. But then on the same time, we don't have an articulated demand that comes from the private sector that says, my strategy for the next 5 years is this, and 3 years from now I'm going to need someone. It's usually I need it now because I got this contract. So from that perspective, it's a little bit difficult, if there's no articulated demand coming in, and us as university, we have to scan and see what's happening out there. Now, RIT has one of the, top schools in IT. It's engraved in their DNA. And we're bringing those programs, so we're learning a lot from that process. And right now we're thinking, what will 5G technology enable? Nobody's talking about that, especially in this part of the world. And, it's not just faster internet. It's much more, the support of machine-to-machine sort of communication. When first, the smartphone was invented, nobody knew that this will spark Airbnb and all these new sort of businesses and industry being developed. So from that perspective, we still don't know what 5G will bring. We're talking about autonomous driving vehicle, we're talking about smart cities, we're talking about machine learning and the whole artificial intelligence that's there to make life better for humans. So where is our sort of component in there? How do we, conceive these new knowledges, and how do we transfer them as the courses of the future? So we have, capacities in Kosovo that will create these globally competitive employees, not just serving right now the needs of Kosovo, but serving a larger market, right? We know the sector of IT on its own to serve Kosovo, it's not a big sector.
Yeah.
But as a sector, it was one of the biggest exporters, of these services. So from that perspective, how do we actually think on a larger scale what the world needs, but then create the capacities here so we could serve, the world for those needs.
Yeah.
So, in terms of new trainings, I'm not going to talk, specific training, but it's on these new areas of development: artificial intelligence, data security, the big data in general, and then machine learning that comes with the artificial intelligence. So that's currently our focus.
Going on. Thank you so much. Mrs. Nerita, how do you manage to train people in technology that will be absolute in the future? Obsolete. I'm sorry.
Can you just ask the question again, please?
Yes, sure. How do you manage to train people in technology that in some years, in the near future, will be obsolete?
I think seeing the need of using technology in our country, like let's say 20 years ago, we didn't know what computer is. Like my generation, I studied programming at high school. However, we didn't have any computers at my school. It was just a whiteboard, and the teacher was just explaining words, and that was really absurd about what we were learning back then. In the past 20 years, the technology advanced so much so that the youth in our country, even the elder people, found themselves like not knowing anything, if I can say that, about technology. What is that? What's internet? What's not to mention the courses. But gradually, I think people got accustomed to learn and hear and be like more close to the internet and the advancements in technology. And this is how the process is developing every day also in Kosovo. And for seeing this and seeing the need of young people to get involved in the digital economy in Kosovo, even the government itself or the private companies, we saw this kind of, let's say, gap, like many other institutions or the private schools that have been operating like Cacttus Education and RIT for so many years. We thought that there is still some place for a new academy, let's say, that would enhance competition. We have international curricula that has been developed in Sweden and Ukraine, and that is something that we really didn't want to create our own curricula without trainers, because people come and go, and everyone that comes new would like to change something. However, the curricula that we are using is based on international standards and newest IT trends that is being updated every 2-3 months, depends on these advancements. So we are using that. It's like the program contact, the education learning process is according to the international IT trends. So students will be better prepared for the market and gain strongest skills. Our school in Sweden and Ukraine have much more trainings, or provide much more trainings that we do. However, we have decided to start with these 6 trainings because seeing the need of these trainings in Kosovo, that is how we based our research on that. However, we are planning to expand our trainings either on artificial intelligence, digital marketing, or whatever the need of the youth is. So it is much more also based on the request, either from youth or from the companies. We meet with different IT companies that really say that their staff need additional trainings on this, either it is front end or back end or project management or designing even. And based on all these talks and discussions. We are going to develop and provide more trainings in the future. So we are not going to just stay with these 6 trainings, but we are going to develop. What kind of differs maybe us from many other schools is the learning management system, or the LMS platform, that has been created and used at the same time from the 3 countries. This platform makes the education easier and more efficient for the students. Students are able to watch lessons, to complete assignments, upload homework, and be like on daily contacts with the trainers and with each other in the group. It is like this platform has become like one of the most important instruments during student study. Because the access to LMS is unlimited, so even after they graduate, they still will have access to the platform and be able to go back to the materials whenever they need it. We also have the testing through this platform. So this testing kinds of tells us who is the best student. We are not accepting like all the students, because we don't want to provide numbers at the end. We didn't open the academy just to provide number of students who are graduated, but we are trying to identify like the best students with the best results on the testing, of the admission testing, so that we work with them on daily basis. When I say daily basis, it's not that the trainings are provided or going on every day. However, our trainers are available every single day to work with the students, no matter if it is, working day or not. So if they have an assignment to do, they will communicate through Slack platform with a trainer, so that to be able to get like more knowledge, or even evaluate the assignments by the trainers. Kind of this triangle of curricula and the LMS platform, testing, and also the Slack communication between the students and the trainer is, I think, the best option that we are using now. It's like it showed us at the end of the courses that, students they really do appreciate all 3 things that we are providing now. It's for them, it's important to be in a constant communication with each other, and see the results of the testing, so that they know exactly what their knowledge during the students during their studies in either public or private universities is, and what they are learning at our academy. So far, we are working on internship program within Beetroot Academy, but it is still on, developing phase on the first stage. Because of the pandemic, we don't think that we should be, gathering students at our offices, at our premises. However, we are collecting like the juniors who are graduating, because we have like, certificates that we provide for those that are attending the course that really do not show, let's say, the highest scores of either learning or testing throughout the process. And also the juniors that the trainer identifies who are let's say, the best students. And we continue and we plan to work with them in the future to provide internships, not only at Beetroot Academy, but also in the network of the IT companies who are in need for such great students, to employ them, to advance them, to, work with them. So this is our idea of, for the future.
Thank you so much, Ms. Çeko. For our last words, because we're coming to the end of the discussion, Mr. Xhelili, do you have?
Yes, I would only like to add that all our discussion from Visar and from Ms. Çeko as well is around the same topic, which is mainly employment and the skills of the graduates, and what are the universities, the training centers, and the companies doing. I think that we need to be in more close contact with the ICT sector, with the ICT companies, to analyze what are in fact their needs. As Visar said, not only for today or what is currently required, but to foresee the near future. We make contacts every 6 months with the local ICT sector. We invite the companies, and we make a discussion and discuss around the technologies that will be sought after in the near future. As Visar said, they plan for the next 3 to 4 years because their studies last 3 to 4 years. We plan for the next 2 years. And we adapt and make updates to our program regarding these requirements. And I think this is the approach that most of the universities have to follow, not to be based on some old curricula, as you said, that is obsolete. When they graduate, or their graduates, when they graduate, they're going to be skilled for some technologies that were obsolete maybe 10 years ago, not like 4 years ago, and there's not going to be any demand for those skilled workers. On the other hand, what we're doing is we're training people and teaching them with the technologies that are currently being used and trying to bring in some of the new technologies or trends that will be sought after in the next 2 years.
Yeah, just to go back a little bit to the last question and provide closing remarks. Our belief is that learning is an inherent biological behavior. People never stop learning. And of course, things will become obsolete. Humankind believed that all swans are white for 1,000 years, and it took one observation, one black swan, to throw all that you knew as humankind for 1,000 years. So of course, things will evolve. Having that in mind, the focus has always been, how do we create learners, lifelong learners? How do we equip them with the capacity to think, with the capacity to challenge that thinking, with the capacity to develop the critical thinking? How do we give them the skills so that they can collaborate? Because learning today is not on an epicenter where a professor is passing the knowledge that he gained. Learning today is a collective behavior, right? So people are going on the blogs and learning from each other, solving each other's problem, tackling challenges. So how do we feed on that and actually create a society that can comprehend what is being, taught, and then on the same time that can contribute to that ongoing learning? And in this fashion, you give the basic. It's still an electron, and it's still a bit, and there are simple rules and some logic how that works. But then you give them this capacity that even if the technology evolves and the technology change, they will easily adapt. And we've seen with this pandemic how easily people can adapt. So
Yes.
We're hopeful on that.
Thank you so much. Ms. Merita, do you have any closing remarks before we...
Well, as Mr. Jasiqi mentioned, and as I mentioned before, the education process is really a never-ending process. So I really would like to see the youth getting all these additional skills that are being provided. Either it is on IT field, or either it is, maybe medicine, or, you name it. Because nowadays they have the abilities, they have the circumstances, they have everything in place. It's just a matter of whether they are interested on developing and gaining additional skills to be able to advance themselves. They have everything in place. It's just go and grab it. That's it.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank you all for your time, and we will be back in a couple of minutes with our next topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.